The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB-FM. Thank you for listening. That's right. Thank you for listening. Hot 91, your choice for hip-hop and R&B soul. Khilo is here. Brand new episode of Hampton Roads Voices. Yes, and tonight's episode is entitled Life After Divorce. Woo! Yes, we are getting into it. I have special guest experts here to help you out. You know what to do. 823-9110. It's Hot 91. Hot 91, your choice for hip-hop and R&B soul. It is your choice for hip-hop and R&B soul. I already said that. Okay. Hampton Roads Voices. Brand new episode today entitled Life After Divorce. So we have special guest experts here that will be helping you transition in the most healthy way possible from, of course, married life to not married anymore. Okay. So, I will introduce them and then they're going to tell us why they're special guest experts. But you already know that we have some of the best on this here show. So we have Vickie Williams here. She is the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. And we also have Donna Grissett. She is a licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello. Hey, what's happening?
I'm doing great. Everything is everything. And thank you for being here.
Great to be here.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you relate to divorce, where your profession relates to divorce.
I thank you for that, because my husband would have an issue with that. As you stated, I own a company, and basically the crux of my company is I own a mediation firm and a training and consulting firm. So how I relate to divorce is I also facilitate separation mediations as well as co-parenting classes. And within the Commonwealth of Virginia, there is a code that basically states that if you are in a contested custody, visitation, child support case in juvenile or in circuit court, then you are required, or the judge can require you to take a co-parenting class.
Okay. All righty. And moving on to Miss Donna Grissett. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been a therapist for 20 years now, in private practice for 16. And a large part of my practice is individuals that are going through a divorce. I have divorce groups, divorce relationship recovery, and I also see individuals to help them transition to life after divorce.
Awesome. Yes, because that can be a very, very difficult time. All right, so we already know, Hampton Roads, that we love to hear your voice. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please call in 757-823-9110, 823-9110. And even though it's called Life After Divorce, if you've been in a long-term relationship and you guys have a lot, it kind of mimics a marriage, this might help you too if you're going through a breakup. Okay, 823-9110, 823-9110. So we'll take a quick break again, and when we return, we're going to get right into this conversation because I know you are dying to dive into it. So that's what we're going to do. Make sure you keep it locked right here. It's Hot 91, your choice for hip hop and R&B soul. Hot 91, your choice for hip hop and R&B soul. Hampton Roads Voices is live right now. Tonight's episode is entitled Life After Divorce. And we do have a caller, yeah? We do? All right, ladies, put your headphones on, please. And then we can get straight to the call. All right? Hi, T1, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
This is Ray Moon.
Hey, Ray. Turn down your radio for me. How are you?
Okay. All right.
All right. So what's your question, comment, or concern?
Really, I was just trying to see which direction you ladies were going to take the conversation this evening so I can chime in.
Okay. So I will advise you to keep listening and then call back once we get the conversation started.
All righty.
All righty. Thank you. You couldn't hear him? Okay, I'm going to fix that during the break. Alrighty, so we have special guest experts here. Vickie Williams, she's the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. And we have Donna Grissett here. She's the licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. So I have some very interesting numbers here that we collected while doing our research. And we, as in the public affairs team, and I thought that you, Hampton Roads, would love to hear it. So more than 20% of first marriages end in divorce within 5 years, and 48% of marriages dissolve by the 20-year mark. And this is according to the 2006 to 2010 data from the government's National Survey of Family Growth. All right. And then also, according to the data from the National Survey of Family Growth, the probability of a first marriage lasting at least a decade was 68% for women and 70% for men between 2006 and 2010. That's pretty good. And then the probability that they will make it 20 years was 52% for women, 56% for men. All right. It's kind of close to, half. We're always hearing half of marriages end up in divorce, but it's not quite there. So divorce, it can be messy or, it can be kind of healthy. But I think when people think of divorce, they automatically think of a mess in court. Now, there are some different methods to divorce. And I know that you are a mediator, Ms. Vickie. Could you tell us what are the different methods that we can, does it always have to be in court?
And that's the point. You don't always have to be in an adversarial relationship. And court tends to be that way. It lends one to believe that. So, the other options that are available for you would be mediation or collaborative law. And basically what that means is that with mediation in that instance, then you would have someone such as myself, someone who is nonpartisan, if you will, is only there to adhere to the process. Mm-hmm. And so what they make certain of is that it's an even table. And they make sure that you have an opportunity to tell your story, get it out without fear of interruption or intimidation. Mm. And that's very important. And so you have the mediator who may see something that you might not be able to see. Mm-hmm. And hence what they'll do is they may put solutions on the table, kind of give you an opportunity to just kind of clear up once you get through the smoke and mirrors. Mm-hmm. So what that does for you in a divorce mediation is in Virginia, someone has to be certified with the Virginia Supreme Court at the circuit court level to actually facilitate a separation agreement. And so why that's so powerful and ends up being not as adversarial is that everybody has an opportunity to get their voices heard. Okay. And they have an opportunity to be a part of the solution as opposed to having an agent or an attorney, if you will, be that particular entity that speaks for you, and you may have different ideas or different views, and they're guiding you legally from the legal foundation. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But most definitely, you want to make it as painless as possible. And mediation really gives you that opportunity to, one, have your voice heard, two, develop solutions that give each one of you a win, and also develop solutions that you have some input in. And once you have that input, then you're more likely to adhere to it because you were able to broker it with you and the other party. But of course, it is still a hurting situation, right, and we all recognize that. But what's very important is that you choose a mediator that definitely adheres to the process, will set a safe environment, mm-hmm, so that you can speak and be able to provide input on what you want. That's what's important. Another opportunity is collaborative law, okay, and that's where you have two attorneys who are actually giving your input, and they try to work it out. Very similar to a mediator, but they are the entities that will speak for you.
Yeah, I see that on TV, I think, like when, people are sitting down at the table and then you're kind of the husband is whispering, mm-hmm, over to his lawyer, and then she speaks for him, so I think that's what we see on television. Okay, so those are two different methods to keep you out of court. Now, what would make a couple resort to court?
Well, most definitely, if the mediation is a voluntary process, that's number one. So everybody has to agree to that particular process. If you do not agree to that process, if you do not want a mediator, then most definitely the route that you'll need to take will be adjudication, and that's in the courts. And that'll move to the circuit court arena, and that can be costly.
Oh, okay. So mediation is usually cheaper than going through the courts.
It's less expensive.
We don't
want to say
cheaper. Right. Gotcha. Less expensive. Okay. Alrighty. So talking about costs, and of course there is no one number to this, but a roundabout, is there a particular roundabout of how much divorces cost?
I would say from $1,000 on up, depending on the time that's involved, depending on the assets that are involved, depending on children are involved, pets. People fight over pets. Pets are very, very important. You know, how much time is involved in this? So, you know, you have to figure out whether or not you're willing to make that investment. And that's why, you know, I tout mediation for a number of reasons. Definitely because it is definitely a less expensive route, but also it allows you to save some dignity and not be so adversarial. And that really is worth more than its weight in gold.
Right. And that could be taxing too to your emotional health and
Absolutely.
your mental health. And all right, 757-823-9110, 757-823-9110 if you have a question or a comment. So I know, Ms. Donna, when you sit down with different groups and things of that nature, does finances ever come up? Like what to expect financially while we're going through this? And of course, you can piggyback, Ms. Vickie.
Well, it's very difficult financially when people get a divorce because they're used to having one home and they're going to have two different homes. And most people are living paycheck to paycheck, so it can be very difficult to do that.
Do you advise people to start, if you're thinking about a divorce, you should go ahead and, even if you're not sure, should you go ahead and start doing something financially, like some financial planning, some saving for that? Like, do you suggest
Well, financial planning is always a good idea, and saving for the future, definitely.
Right. Okay. All righty. So we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we want to hear from you, Hampton Roads. 823-9110, 823-9110. We are talking about life after divorce on this episode of Hampton Roads Voices. It's Hot 91. Hot 91, your choice for hip-hop and R&B soul. Khilo is here with a new episode of Hampton Roads Voices. It's entitled Life After Divorce. This type of situation is never, it's never a good one. Even though the divorce may have been a long time coming, it's always hard, breaking up a marriage. Nobody's happy to do that. You may be happy, but during the process is not the most perfect process. Okay. So we are here to help you transition through that, to take care of you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, if we can, give you the logistics of it. And some more. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and get your questions and comments or concerns in, please do so. 757-823-9110, 823-9110. We have special guest experts here. Donna Grissett, she is a licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. And Vickie Williams, she is the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. All right, and we do have a phone call. Hi, 91, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, my name is Alicia.
Hi, you said Alicia?
Yeah.
Hi, Alicia.
So I'm listening to, this is ironic that I'm listening to this because actually I'm divorced since last March, and I'm finding that it's kind of like hard to move on because it's kind of like a death. You've been married to somebody for 9 years, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what? I didn't plan for this. You know what I'm saying? I'm 51. I'm like, how do I move on? You have to move on, But it's like, you're with somebody, you're used to waking up, and it's like all of a sudden, the feelings change, people change, and you're not the same person like before. And you're like, okay, now, how do you move on? Like, the dating thing sucks. And it's like, I just don't have time for the bull crap, I just want to move on. It's hard.
How long were you in your relationship?
It was 9 years.
That's a long time.
It's my second marriage, 9 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy at all.
No.
You are so correct. It's like a death. It's so much of the grief process. There's denial and fear, loneliness, learning to let go and figure out who you are now and what you want.
Yeah.
And it's so important to have a support system, family, friends, maybe a support group, your church. Do you have any of those things?
Yes, I do. Actually, what's helping me is actually getting into the gym and working out and just trying to become a better me.
Exercise is so important. It reduces anxiety and depression. It makes you feel good about yourself.
Yes, it does.
And it increases the endorphins as well. And if I could just kind of jump in, it sounds like to me that what you're searching for is a new normal. And that's what happens when you're breaking up a relationship, whatever the reasons, whatever the foundation is that you have to reinvent yourself and you have to create a new normal. And that new normal, and to your point, having that support group, having friends, it's a wonderful thing. But let's keep it 100. You know, you got folks who are in your ear and they're saying a lot of crazy stuff, and it's not helpful. So boundaries are really important.
Definitely.
Would you agree?
Okay. Definitely. Boundaries are important. And sometimes people that you know, they tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
That's why I think it's good to go to therapy or a therapy group. The therapy group that I do, it looks at why you married the person you did. Because it's never 100% one person's fault. To look at, because if we don't figure that out, we're bound to repeat.
Wow.
Absolutely, because everybody's got skin in the game.
Right.
And, you
we're
know,
a product of our upbringing.
Absolutely. And you know what you know, what you know. You know, they say it all the time. You know, people tell you who they are. We just choose not to believe it, or we choose to think that we can fix them, or we choose to think we can change them, or we choose to think that me, I, us, we can help this person become who we think they need to be. And something I learned a long time ago is that, you know, sometimes you love the person where they are. You let that person go, and then you become who you deserve to be, and allow that person to become who they deserve to be. And then with you being divorced, let me ask you this. Do you have children?
Yes, I have one son.
How's that working?
He's good.
He's good?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 22, but that wasn't a biological father.
But he was part of his life, though, right?
Yes, he was for a long time, yeah.
That makes a huge difference. And, you know, even though he's 22, we also still have to be cognizant that, you know, even though you're like, he's good, everything's cool, but if this cat was a part of his life for a number of years, he definitely had some either positive or negative impacts on him. And he's also grappling with that separation. Would you think, Donna?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they still have a relationship now?
No, not at all.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Are you, have you thought about therapy, Alicia?
Yes, I have. I'm taking some. I've been to some therapists.
Good for you.
Oh, absolutely. Therapy is fantastic.
Yeah, good for you. Okay. Well, you'll be in my prayers, Alicia.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking my call. I'm pretty sure someone else is probably going through the same thing I'm going through.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you, guys. Ladies, have a nice night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we do have one more call? Okay. And then we'll dive into this conversation about the emotional health of divorce, okay? Hi, 91, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, it's Jamaica. How y'all doing tonight?
Hi, Jamaica.
What's happening?
What's going on, you guys? I'm basically calling because I'm separated from my husband, and we're not all the way divorced. But the thing is, being separated, I don't know how the emotional state goes as far as dating or knowing if it's okay to date or if society thinks it's okay to date. And I don't have kids, and, you know, we don't have children with each other, and I feel like, I mean, I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities with guys a guy I really like because I've basically been married, and, you know, it's just like a setback, even though my marriage wasn't like the worst marriage in the world. It was like we agreed, like, this isn't going to work out, you know, let's agree to move on, you know. So
Are you thinking about a divorce?
The divorce is basically, yes, we agreed on the divorce, basically, yes.
So how long have y'all been separated?
About 6 months now, about maybe 6 months.
So do you want to date?
Yes, I do want to date. I do want to date.
Child, you sounded really excited about that. For real.
Yes, honey,
Tell me how you really feel, baby.
Yes. I don't feel like I'm gonna let a title hold me back. And then some people are looking like, hey, you know, you still married. You don't know if you want to do that. You don't know if you might get back with them. And I'm like, no, I totally know it's over. You know, and like we both know it's over. We don't talk. You know, it's a mutual hi. How you doing? We need to meet at the court for this, or we need to do this and do that. Whatever may have happened, but basically, I just don't know how to feel about it. I don't know.
Okay, wait. Back up. Hold up. Take a breath. Okay. First of all, you got one thing. You still married, but you want to date, but you kind of trying to figure out, should I date? The only person you have any ownership to right now is you. If that's what you want to do, then you deal with the outcome of your actions.
Okay.
You feel me?
I just needed some confirmation.
Dude, you deal with the outcome of your actions, and you be good.
I just like, to me, I feel like, I mean, I don't want a title to hold me back. And if I really like this guy and I really see me having a future with him, or really trying to do something with him, or you don't get what I'm saying.
But Jamaica, are you going to be honest? Are you honest with this guy that you want to date? Okay, good. See, honesty, I think, is the best policy. It sounds cliche, but as long as he knows what's going on and you're honest with yourself.
I was 100% honest with him. Like, yeah, I've been married before. It's not working out, and I'm not 100% divorced. And he's like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't have children either. And I'm like,
but
okay,
this is really not that simple, though. If somebody's in the military,
it's really not, and that's the thing with me. I'm like, it's really not that simple. But it really shouldn't be that complicated. If we're not together, we're not happy. That's the thing I'm saying.
Okay.
In the military. Who's in the military? You in the military?
I'm not. I wish I had the benefit.
No, I'm just saying that it's not always that easy, because if somebody's in the military, sometimes they can
could be. It could
court martial.
Adultery. You don't want no.
Nothing like that is going on with.
Okay, so he's not in the military or anything, right?
It's a good deal right now.
Yeah, you just wanted confirmation, Jamaica.
Yes, y'all. So thank you guys. You guys have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Let's keep the calls going. 757-823-9110. We're talking about life after divorce. All right, ladies. So, it's kind of like, this next question is kind of like Jamaica's, perspective or her situation. If a person and their spouse, they have already come to kind of like an unspoken understanding, an unspoken agreement that, you know what, this marriage is over. What should be their first steps? It could be a legal first step. It can be just a communicative first step. What should be their first step in your opinion?
I think you should have the conversation.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely have the conversation. And if there are, you need to decide what you're willing to live with, what you're willing to live without. If there's property involved, you need to figure out what's yours. You need to have that list, especially if you're going to go to a mediator or anyone to draft a separation agreement, whether you go to an attorney or a mediator, to save you time and money. Get an idea of what you need to have in your home. I mean, you may have rings that belong to your mother, but he might say, well, I don't think you should have it. You need to know what you want.
But don't you think one of the first steps is deciding who's going to move out, if there's a mortgage or if there's a lease?
That could be a first step too.
Absolutely. And a lot of times that's when it becomes a struggle, because let's just say, for example, if the house is in someone else's name and you are homesteaded there in Virginia, you just can't put folk out.
Right.
And if there's a person's name is on the deed, somewhere along the line, it becomes a struggle. Who's going to move?
Or somebody doesn't want to be left with the entire mortgage.
Absolutely.
So do you think that person should have their ducks in the row first before they sit down with their spouse, or do you think they should sit down and try to figure that out together firstly?
Well, it's always better to try and figure it out together if possible.
Okay.
If possible, but let's talk about divorce. And you made a huge point earlier. Divorce is akin to a death. Now, I've experienced deaths, and years ago I found my mother passed away. I found her. And when I tell you, mentally and emotionally, I was off the grid. So even though in a perfect world we would say, oh, let's sit down and have a conversation, that ain't happening, Captain. That dog ain't gonna hunt. Because, see, you're already emotionally in a quagmire here. How do you get past that? How do you get through it? And that's where someone like yourself would kind of come into play, or a conflict coach come into play, that one-on-one with you to kind of help you, work through that mental and emotional quagmire,
right.
Help you to determine what is important to you. So when you do have that conversation, to the best of your capability with assistance from a licensed professional counselor, which I think is a great opportunity, is so that you can come as clear as possible to be able to address what you need and, go from there.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break. But you know what? Usually with the shows, I wait till the end to get the contact information of our special guest experts. And sometimes people are not listening all the way to the end. So we're going to go ahead and throw it out there a couple times throughout the show. So if you ladies can throw it out there, we'll start with you, Miss Donna Grissett. If you have any social media, a phone number, an email address, a website, go ahead and throw that out there to our listeners.
My phone number is 757-358-8548, and it's PeninsulaCounselingCenter.com.
Okay. And
my phone number is 757-816-4478. My website is www.opndoor.com. That's open door without the E. And my Twitter handle is OPNDOORCOM.
all right. Alrighty. So if you are on the phone lines, please hold for me. As soon as we get back, we'll get straight to you. And if you are not on the phone lines, why not? Get on it. 823-9110. I'm going to throw out a question for you. What did you find out about yourself while you were going through your divorce? What was something that you learned about yourself while you were going through the process of divorce? Call in and share with us. 823-9110. It is Hampton Roads Voices, Life After Divorce on Hot 91. 91, your choice for hip hop and R&B soul. It's a brand new episode of Hampton Roads Voices entitled Life After Divorce. And we have special guest experts here that are helping you transition as healthy as possible through your divorce. Donna Grissett, she's a licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. And Vickie Williams, the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. And we have you, Hampton Roads. I have threw out a question that I want you to call in and humor us. Really not humor us, but let us know, okay? Like I always say, your testimony really can help out somebody else who is listening who may not want to call in, okay? What did you find out about yourself during your divorce? What is something that you never knew about yourself, but you found out about yourself during your divorce? 823-9110, 823-9110. And we do have a few callers. Let's get to it. Hi, 91, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
This is Ray calling back.
Hey, Ray. Thank you for calling back, sir. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
All righty. What's your question, comment, or concern?
Well, to address your question, I found out that I was an excellent father.
Oh, wow.
I have 3 daughters. Always wanted the boy, but I got 3 girls, and girls present challenges to a single dad that, you're not quite ready for, but I made it through as a trooper. I still have 1 teenager left, but my daughters are doing well. They're intelligent, independent young ladies, and, man, they're a blessing now, but all the work that I put in, I'm getting it back now.
That's wonderful. I was wondering what advice you could give to other single fathers.
Good question.
I mean, investing in your child is the greatest and best thing you could ever do. I just look back at those moments where I could have made the negative choice, or my biggest thought when it comes to children, it's not about money, presents, gifts. I told my kids that when they were in school, there was no way in the world that they were going to get any type of video game system. It just wasn't going to happen. And, for me, it was about the education and spending time with them. And those are the things that they're going to remember when they get older and they tell those stories around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, whatever have you. So I employ every dad just to invest the time.
Absolutely.
Give the kids the time.
Absolutely. And Ray, you said it right on the point. It's not the presence, it's the presence. Consistent.
Exactly.
Consistent, communicative, structure, but consistent presence. So say if you have a visitation agreement and you've created it or worked with the mother to do it, or the father, whoever the case may be, if you say you're going to be here Friday at 6 p.m., you need to be there like water is wet.
Right.
because folks listen to that. They look for that. I can't tell you how many co-parenting classes I've done where the adults are in the class and how they talk about how their father never showed up or their mother never showed up. And all that has a residual effect. It affects how you have relationships, affects how your children have relationships. All of it is residual. So you're absolutely right, Ray. Presence over presence every time.
Right. Because when you break that, as you said, 6 o'clock, 6:30 on a Friday, now you got somebody developing trust issues.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, and then you have, that consistent. That was another thing that I always tried to be, was consistent, and I didn't cover anything. If I can't do it for you, sweetheart, the answer is no.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to promise you something and just to try to make you feel good for the moment, knowing that there is no way in the world I don't have the financial means.
That's right.
Or I'm not going to be able to take off work to do this. So, sweetheart, the answer is no. And unfortunately, I was placed in a position where my ex, we've been apart 10 and a half years. And it's still some nonsense. It was just recently where I had to block her phone completely in order to function, because here you got somebody, my boy told me it like this: if we've been apart 12 years, you can't keep blaming what's going wrong in your life on me.
Oh, wow.
Because I ain't been there. It ain't me.
Wow.
I ain't him.
I can dig it.
I'm not him.
Mm-hmm.
12 years, 10 years out, and you still not doing good? I'm sorry. I can't. I can't. But I'm going to get off with you ladies in 1 second. One of you speakers said that divorce was equivalent or parallel to death.
Yes.
And that touched home with me because my parents divorced when I was 7. And I did not know that going through a divorce as a grown man, I guess I didn't quite remember what happened when I was 7, but all of that pain came back.
Wow.
So it was like I was going through 2 of them at the same time.
Wow.
And that was a very difficult time.
Wow.
That was a very difficult time.
How did you get through?
And, well, I'll be honest with you. I do have a relationship with God.
Good for you.
And I think that was first and foremost. But some days that didn't seem like enough. Mm-hmm. And, I confided in family, which was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
People closest and dearest and nearest to me, they gave their opinions. And they chimed in on, I guess, something they would do if they were in my situation, but they weren't. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to family members that were divorced, and they too didn't give me what I thought in hindsight was the best advice. And I don't know how to tell someone to make it through that, but I say church helped me out greatly because it gave me somewhere to go, and I can invest my time positively. I can bring my children to a positive environment, and that'd be about the best answer I could give because it helped me, and then it gave me a place to take my children, and they were like, Daddy, they had something to look forward to. Daddy, are we going to church today? And even if I didn't want to, I would get up and I'll make sure I take them. So
and that's very important. And traditions are very important. Kids can count on them. It makes them feel safe.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
And I think, to the listeners out there, if you're going through an acrimonious, difficult separation, stay child focused.
Right.
It's not about her. It's not about him. It's about them.
Yes.
Especially when children are involved, stay focused on the children. When you're having a conversation, I always say in my co-parenting classes, it's the business of parenting. I don't have to like you to do business with you.
Right.
But I do have to respect you.
Yes.
I do have to be polite. I do have to be kind.
Right.
You
Keep
can do
the
the same.
conflicts away from the children.
Absolutely.
Don't talk bad about the other parent in front of the children. It hurts them.
Absolutely. And you have to remember at one point in time, y'all were good.
Exactly.
And you have to sometimes fall back on that foundation. And to the listeners out there, be mindful of what you say and also be mindful of your nonverbal clues. Because if you're picking up the phone and your child, even if it's a baby, is sitting there and you wince or you sigh,
rolling your eyes.
you're rolling your eyes, they see it and they get it. And so that transition becomes difficult for them because they love you and they love them, but yet you don't like him, so they don't like him either at that moment. So, you have to be cognizant of everything that you say and do and how they can impact the children.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ray, for calling.
all right, you ladies have a great evening and a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. You too, sir.
You too. We'll take one more call. Hopefully they're still on the phone. Hi, 91, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with? Hello.
It's me, Sharlena.
Hey, Sharina. Thank you for your patience. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Go ahead and share your question, comment, or concern.
I was agreeing with everything y'all are saying about the being like a death, and also what I discovered while I was going through the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I just went through, we were married for 28 years. Our children are grown, but we haven't talked. So I just got tired of waiting to see if he was going to come and talk to me about what we were doing. So what I've discovered about myself is that I didn't know I could be strong. I've been wife and mom for 20-something years. I didn't know, for God's sakes, I didn't even know how to balance a checkbook because he took care of everything. So what I'm discovering about myself is that I can do it.
Yes.
So
That's awesome.
It's really good to see that, and I'm getting feedback from my kids. Like I said, they're grown now, but I called them to let them know. But it's also, I'm going through like the second divorce, like Ray said, because my parents were married for 20-something years. They got divorced. Theirs was sort of like nice, but sort of not. And then, but I was grown, but it still affected me. So now I'm going through like what their stuff was and my stuff too. So, but I found out that I'm stronger than I thought, and I'm discovering me.
Sounds like you're having a rebirth.
Yes.
That's exciting. Scary sometimes, but exciting.
Scary as hell. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to curse. But
that's all right.
It's incredibly scary and emotional and wow. So
you should really celebrate yourself because that takes a tremendous amount of courage to reconfigure and reassess and become who you deserve to be.
Right.
Yes.
And I applaud you for that. I'm giving you a hand clap.
Me too.
Absolutely. I applaud you for that. Absolutely.
Yes.
You probably gave somebody some courage
I was
tonight.
just about to say that. That story is more common than you would think. So thank you for calling. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for y'all having this conversation tonight because I really needed. Yeah. That was good.
Good for you. Keep hanging in there. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Y'all keep it on. I like what y'all talking about. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
every week you have a really great program, and I love listening to everything.
You.
The other week, y'all talking budgeting and stuff like that. I was writing down notes and stuff. Y'all, you're really on point. I appreciate you, sister.
I appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
All right.
All righty. Yeah.
You have a good one.
You too. Her story is not uncommon. You know, I hear that a lot, you know, all in my 26 years. But I do hear that when women, you know, they devote themselves to their marriage, and when they find that the marriage is over, they find themselves that they are not only, but they are a wife and a mother, and, you know, not too much else. So they, you know, are forced into a situation to find themselves again. And just like, I think her name was Sharice. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. But she, you know, found her strength. So good for you.
Well, they find that they've spent so much time giving and taking care of others that it's unusual for them to think, what do I want? What do I need? And she's doing that. She's figuring it out.
Yes, it's time to pour into self. I like that. Alrighty, so let's keep those phone lines ringing, 757-823-9110, 823-9110. And when we return, we're going to talk about these children. So we've been kind of, you know, hinting around it. But Vickie said a very great thing. You want it to be child focused. So we're going to, we have Miss Vickie here. She's the mediator. We have Miss Donnie here. She is the licensed professional, and she's going to let us know about how we can make sure that our children are emotionally and mentally sound and safe during this divorce. All right. So it is Hampton Roads Voices, Life After Divorce, right here on Hot 91. Hot 91, your choice for hip hop and R&B soul. Hampton Roads Voices live right now. Episode entitled Life After Divorce. Have very special guest experts here. Vickie Williams. She is the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. And Donna Grissett. She's a licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. And we have you, Hampton Roads. Yeah. It's called Hampton Roads Voices for a reason. Please do not forget to go ahead and like us on Twitter, WNSB High 91.1 FM on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube, okay? I know that you may not be getting the whole entire show as you're getting in and out of your cars. So we have last week's show, Entrepreneurship 101. We have the first show of the year, the mentorship show. All of that is on our YouTube right now, ready for you to devour. So go ahead and check that out. And this show will be on our YouTube on Wednesday. Our YouTube channel is Hampton Roads Voices. Okay. So, we still do have one phone call. Yes. Okay. Let's get to this person. Thank you so much for waiting. Hot 91, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, thank you so much for waiting. You're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
This is Selena.
Hi, Selena.
Hello.
What's your question, comment, or concern?
Okay, I was married for 23 years. I've been divorced for 6.
Mm.
And my children are grown. And I'm trying to figure out how to get them to move on so I can move on. They're so very overprotective of me.
Mm.
But each holiday, they spend the holiday with my ex. And I don't have a problem with that because I want them to go so I can be free. But they're always calling me, are you okay? I'm fine. Y'all do what y'all do, and I'm going to do what I do. Then they show up where I am. So I don't know what to do about this. And I've had other relationships. And we all have relationships with the Lord. And it was like they were so overprotective and overbearing till I just had to, like break it off.
Mm.
Are they having trouble with you dating?
I think so because they, just so overprotective over me. And they let it be known, especially the oldest one, she lets it, be known that that's my mother. If anything is going down, you got to know that I'm going to be there.
Is there a reason why they are doing that, do you think?
No, I think it's just that they're just overprotective. And, I have kind of like health issues. And I guess they're just concerned. And I'm like, y'all need to move on and get married and do whatever y'all do so y'all can live your life. No, if we move, you moving with us.
How old are your children, if you don't mind me asking?
34 and 25.
So let me just ask, it's just us girls here. So let me just ask this question. How much of your business do you share with your children?
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it 100.
None. They do not know. I mean, I really don't have any business. If I haven't dated in I don't know how many years now, because the last one that I had, it was just kind of like overbearing. Like every time I went somewhere, where are you? What time you coming home? And it was just too much.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if they're overprotective because you had a difficult relationship.
I think that's probably what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is.
But you learn from the relationships you have, right?
Right. I did. Trust me, I did. I mean, we're still friends, the ex and I think we're much better that we've, moved on, but we really haven't moved on because the youngest is 25, and if he can't get in touch with her, he's calling me.
Mm-hmm.
And that might have had a little bit of interference with, my last relationship too. So, and it's like, okay, your kids are grown.
Right. You're entitled to live your life.
Okay.
And to have fun.
Right.
So you get to decide how much you tell them. Whether you're dating or not.
Right.
Boundaries.
That's
okay.
Right.
Look, and
Speak
then
them and set them.
If I don't answer the phone for them, then they're on Facebook. We can't get in touch with my mom.
Oh.
Has anybody seen her? I mean,
Boundaries.
Really?
I'm gonna say this one more again. Boundaries.
Tell them.
Let me tell you something. Folk do what you allow them to do. Period.
Right.
I mean, period. So if your children, you, as Donna said, you have a right to live your life the way you see fit.
Absolutely.
Right.
And folks interfere because people have let down walls and permitted them to interfere. So
Right.
even though you shared that you don't tell them a whole lot about your business, they know enough about your business to want to step in that gap to make sure that you're safe and you're cool and whatnot, even though you most certainly can handle your business. So this is where it becomes difficult, right?
Right.
You love your children. You want them to love you. You want them to go on with their lives. But then you have to dig down deep and find the courage to not only set boundaries, but hold them. Because see, if you're telling them, you're not telling them your business, but when they call your ex and he calls you, then you do exactly what they want you to do. And then if they go on Facebook and then you respond to them, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. It's not to say that you don't take their calls. Cool. You take their calls and be like, look, I'm good. Everything's cool. Have a great day. You got to set these boundaries, and they're going to be difficult. It's going to be uncomfortable, and they're going to be mad at you.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you are the mother.
Okay.
Right.
So it's up to you whether or not you want to do this. And if you really want to obtain the freedom that you feel that you deserve and you rightfully should have, then you have to not only set them, the boundaries, but hold them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I would agree with that. Definitely.
I got it.
Yeah, let them know. Okay. I'm the parent, you the child.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, I thank you so very much.
Good luck, because them kids sound like they going to give you a fight.
Yes.
You'll handle it. You can do it.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you all so much.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Keep giving us a call, 823-9110, 823-9110. And I have another question for you. What did you do during your divorce to help your children transition in a healthy way? So if there's something that you were doing in particular that you see that you saw that it really helped your children during that transition, can you call and share so that, someone else who's going through the same thing can kind of adopt that? 757-823-9110, 823-9110. All right. So yeah, let's talk about these kids. Okay. So, of course, divorce can affect children, and then it can affect grown children altogether. So let's just focus on, the below the 18 children. What are some behaviors that you see regularly for children that are affected negatively in the crossfires of divorce?
Well, their behavior can change. They can act out in school, become clingy. One mistake that many parents make is to suddenly start letting the young children sleep in their bed. And it can become very difficult to get them out of the bed. And so the child is sleeping with one parent, and then when they go to the other parent says no, and they don't understand. A lot of times this has to do with the parent being not used to sleeping alone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's best not to start that. But sometimes children will try and go between the parents. Mom lets me do this, or Dad lets me do that. It's best if the parents can work together and agree on a set of rules and to still communicate to each other so that the children aren't in charge.
Okay. All right.
I think that's a great point. And you also have to, when children's behaviors, right? So it's degree and duration, the intensity of the behavior and how long the behavior lasts. So say, for example, we talked about earlier about nonverbal clues. If your face is all twisted up and you've got that resting face and you're not talking bad about them, but your mannerisms are. So when you do that transfer, your child may grab hold of your leg and fall out and cry and cut up. And then naturally you're going to be like, well, what have you done to make this seem like this child doesn't want to go? Well, that could be the child actually manipulating you because children do that.
Yeah.
Because actually our actions will give them permission to let them do it. Because if I do it and then you give me what I want, you step up and tell them, hey, well, you know what? She's not going with you today because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening with you. And then they already know that particular method, it works. It worked.
Yep.
So, the right way to handle it is not to come at the other parent in an accusatory manner, but actually, after you make that transfer happen, then, have a dialogue, have some conversation with them. Another thing that a lot of parents may do and should not do is do not ask the child who they want to live with. Don't put them in that position.
Right. To make that choice. Yeah. Yeah.
Another problem that parents sometimes do is tell them how sad they are when they're not with them.
Absolutely.
Children are not responsible for their parents' feelings and loneliness, and that puts them in a bad position, and so they feel horrible leaving one parent for the other.
Absolutely. And to piggyback on what you said, that's using your child as a substitute spouse. And this is not in a sexual connotation at all.
Right.
This is about when you have a spouse, you have someone that you care for.
Companionship.
Your companionship, but intimacy. You share with them how you're feeling, how bad this makes you feel. You can't do this because your father didn't pay child support or your mother didn't pay child support. And you know what? Your mother's keeping me away from you, and it's all her fault because, this is your best friend.
Right.
And we all see it. We see it on Facebook. We see it here. That's my king. That's my king. That's my queen. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. When you raise your son to be a king, you can't bring that brother down off the pedestal.
Right.
You can't control him then because guess what? You done put him way up there. So how do you bring him back down?
We call that the parentified child.
Ooh, I like that. Right. Say it again.
The parentified child. You make that child the best friend. They tell their children their problems or their financial problems, and they do feel like their friend. But then the next day, the parent wants to be a parent. Wants to punish the child.
It doesn't work like that.
And they don't know what to think.
Oh, I know what they think.
One minute they're a friend, and the other minute they're a child.
Yeah.
I know what they think. They're like, no, you can't do that because guess what? I was your boy then.
Yep.
So now you're going to try to control me. That dog ain't going to hunt. I'm not doing it.
The respect value goes down. And I think also when you put all those burdens on the child doesn't need to be burdened with adult problems. You want to keep they're already stressed out with what's going on in the home. So you want to keep their stress level low. And even though it might be easy to spill your guts to your child who's just there, and then they might be old enough to listen, like 13 or 14 years old, that's just never, ever a good idea. So let me ask you this. Can divorce positively affect a child? Have you ever seen that?
I would think so.
Yes, it can make a child more resilient and adaptable. They learn to adapt to different situations. They can be more self-sufficient.
And also, I would add that if you're living in a house of strife and drama,
right,
then peace is
Definitely.
priceless.
Relief,
definitely.
Peace is priceless. If I can get this drama out because y'all are separated or divorced or whatever, and I can see y'all acting like two decent people, then
less tension in the home.
Less tension in the home.
And also, when there's a tense situation between a couple, they're not focusing on the child.
Nope.
So when they divorce, there's less tension. They're focusing on the child and the time that they do have with them. Also, siblings can bond.
Oh, that's a good
Absolutely.
one. That's a good
Absolutely. One. And then, to piggyback on what you stated, and this kind of goes backwards a little bit, but we also have to give children permission to grieve the relationship.
Yeah.
Grieve the family that they wanted to keep.
Yes.
And, you had mentioned the cycles of grief. That's denial and what is...
There's denial and, people think that there's a certain stages, but actually people can rotate between the stages. Children sometimes have difficulty talking to their parents about their feelings of divorce, especially if the parent is sad, which is normal, or grieving. The child does not want to make the parent sad, or they don't want to
make it worse,
or if one parent is upset with the other parent for leaving, they don't want to piggyback on that. So sometimes the child needs to talk to a mental health professional.
Yes.
A third party.
Some elementary schools have actually divorce groups for children.
Absolutely.
But certainly if a child wants to talk to the parent to listen and not blame.
Absolutely. And then that goes into age-appropriate conversation, right?
Correct. The children don't need to know the reasons for divorce.
They don't.
No.
It's never 100%.
They don't need all the details, I don't think, either.
No, they don't need to know that he went over to so-and-so.
And cheated on you and
me, and that's why he is...
Right.
Exactly.
They don't need to know that.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
It does not help them.
We do have a phone call. Let's get to it. Hi, 921, you're live on the air. Who am I speaking with?
This is Leela.
Hi, Leela. How are you?
Hi, Leela.
Hi, how are you, ladies? I'm a first-time listener, actually.
Yay!
I happened
Welcome.
to be turning the station, and it was wonderful what I was listening to.
Awesome.
So I left it here.
Well, we're here every week, girlfriend.
Okay. I'm gonna have to tune you guys in.
Yes.
I am a married woman now, but I was once a divorced woman, and I had young girls. And you asked a question in regards to a key that you may have done to kind of help along with the divorce process. Well, with my babies, the one thing that I did, one was I never talked bad about their dad to them.
Oh, nice.
That was key for me because I, as a child, am a product of divorce. And we know that there's a cycle sometimes there as well.
Yeah.
So what you guys were indicating in regards to the mom saying what your dad did and you don't have child support and we can't get shoes, that's what I grew up with.
Oh, wow.
So when I decided to not have a relationship any longer with my first husband, I had my background to lead me to say this is not what I want my girls to have to endure. So even though we had hardships, my ex-husband and I, they didn't know it. The one key thing that I said to them over and over and over again was, your dad loved us as much as he could love us. It just was not enough to sustain this relationship. And I didn't just do it then. I to this day, my children are grown now, and they have children. I still say it because whether I understood why I was doing it, I knew that it was necessary to build over the years because what we don't understand as children, we tend to, as adults, go back and reflect. And if we don't have the answers, because they're not going to have all of the answers as to why mommy didn't or why daddy didn't. And when we have relationships, we kind of judge our relationships based off of our parents. And regardless to all of that, just know that he loved you, you know. And because I had multiple children, one child may have had a different relationship than the other child.
Right.
So, and I didn't always know how it affected them. In particular, my older daughter, she had a closer bond with her dad than the other girls because they were younger when we divorced. So even today, as an adult woman, I have to say, your dad loved you as much as he could. He just couldn't love you to the capacity of what we needed. You know, and for me, anyway, it kind of helped bridge that gap between what was I worth it? You know, what did I do wrong as the child from that perspective? Could I have been a better daughter? You know, could I have loved him more? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? When we take the reins back and take it off, and I was so glad to hear you guys say certain things that we should not be divulging to our children. But of course we know that in the heat of things, we say all kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, so to try to repair some damages, then you have to now do that work that much harder to build and to have a better bond. Because I didn't want, the last thing, and then I'm gonna hang up, I did not want my children to fault me for the errors that I also done, because it wasn't just a one-way street. You know what I'm saying? It was two people in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And just focusing on what he done wrong negated what I done wrong. And I've learned that as the children get older, they begin to understand both sides. And it's like, so you put all of this out about daddy, but what about you? You know, and then you find out as they get older, they begin to resent you, the mom.
Yeah.
You know, or if it's the other way around, if it's the dad that's doing it, then they begin to resent the dad.
Right.
So keeping them out of the business is key, but doing it, the rest of it again.
You made a lot of good points, and I think the one that I piggyback on would be mindful what you say around your children.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
And you don't have to, you know, if the mother or father, because as fathers get custody of their children as well. And if the mother doesn't show up like she's supposed to show up, there's ways you can have that conversation. You know what? I don't know what happened, but it didn't have anything to do with you.
Right.
One thing that I noticed you saying is that sometimes children believe that they're responsible for the break.
Absolutely. They blame themselves.
They do. And it's never, ever their fault.
Nope.
Yes.
So listening to the children, and even just telling them it is not your fault, is so important.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. And it sounds like you did a really great job. You know, sometimes it's very hard to separate how we really feel about that other person and putting our children first. But if you look at it in the long run, you know, as I say all the time, I don't have to like you to do business with you. And we don't have to, you know, I can be polite. I can speak to you. You know, it's just as simple as, you know, when you send a text or you call, good morning, you know, you know, you don't send a text in all caps. You don't come across accusatory. You don't put a lot of bass in your text. You know,
but you make a good point. Saying hello when you see the person as you would for a stranger you were meeting.
Yes.
And that is your child's
Be cordial.
parent.
Yes.
That's the child's parent. And that you made that choice to be with this particular person. Your child was wanted. And you chose to be with that person. And yes, sometimes it doesn't work out, and we get it, and I do. But sooner or later, you have to let it go. When I do conflict coaching, I tell a lot of my clients when they keep going over and over and over the story, sometimes it's just a ceremony. You know, say everything you want to say about that cat. Then I want you to put it in a bucket of water, and I want you to just soak it and be done with it and start from today on, because you can't change the past. And if you keep telling the story over and over again, it's a movie that will never leave.
Absolutely.
And the behavior will become the person. And I say this a lot, separate the behavior from the person. I can still like you. I don't appreciate your behavior.
When you talk about throwing it away, it's, what's the saying? Anger is like taking poison and expecting it to harm the other person.
Wow.
I like that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just the exercise of the ceremony. But I want to say everything. And I say everything.
Right.
But when it's done, it's done.
Yep.
So you did a fantastic job.
Yes.
Give yourself kudos.
Well, thank you. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it.
It is
a work in
progress.
Another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I had to learn to do, and I came up with my first child I was 17. So going from the statistics, one thing I had to learn to do was mature, because I did all the other stuff too. I did the talking about him initially, and being angry, and followed the pattern that I was given. To one day I had to wake up and say, is this how I want my life to be? And I didn't. So once whoever, the female or the male, gets to that place where they want to mature and actually be a positive example for their children, because that's what I wanted. I had girls, and I was like, do I really want my babies to be another representation of what they see right here, right now, today, living in a project, and having this exposure in life. And I didn't always know how to do it right, but I knew being positive was a jumping off point.
Yeah.
And now they can say that when they see their dad, they can't ever say that I said anything negative. Now, they may have a whole lot of negative things about them, but it wasn't because I gave it to them.
Right.
It was because they formed their own opinion.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I love
Thank
that,
you so
Leela.
very much for letting me talk with you all.
Yes.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yes.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
absolutely. You've probably inspired a whole lot of ladies out there.
She did.
Just from your courage, your journey, and your transparency in absolutely saying what you did wrong. A lot of times, honesty, ownership is key.
Yes.
Ownership is key, and then the courage to make that adjustment so that it will be in the betterment of not only you, because if you take care of you, then you can take care of everybody else.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Leela.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies.
All righty.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, I love this conversation, and it's not over, okay? So we still want to talk about children just for a little bit, and then we're going to be talking about how to promote healing for ourselves during this process and after it is long gone, okay? If you've been divorced for, a year or 4 years and you still feel that pain, we're going to be talking to our licensed professional counselor here, on how tips and advice on how we can move on. Alrighty, so make sure you keep it locked. It is Hampton Roads Voices, Life After Divorce. That phone number for you to call is 757-823-9110, 823-9110. It's Hot 91. Yes, we are your choice for hip hop and R&B soul. We are Hot 91. Yeah. Khilo is here with your episode of Hampton Roads Voices entitled Life After Divorce. We have very special guest experts here who have been doing a wonderful job. Donna Grissett, she's a licensed professional counselor of Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia, LLC. And Vickie Williams, the executive director of Open Door Communications, LLC. And we were talking about children during your split, during your divorce. All right. It's never easy. But you can't forget that children are definitely involved and they are, impacted, if not more than you and your spouse during this split. Okay. So it has to, the conversation has to happen between parent and child. When in the process of divorce should that conversation happen, and what should that conversation sound like with the parent and the child explaining that a divorce is happening?
It's best if both parents are there. That way the child knows that it's a decision. It's not one parent blaming another. I think the worst thing is to have the conversation a year in advance, 6 months in advance, because the child sees that nothing changes, and they get confused whether they can change their mind or are they really going to do it. Some parents do that and then don't break up, so it's unnecessary. If a parent is going to move out, maybe 2-3 weeks in advance to prepare the child, maybe longer if the child is going to be moving out of the home. It's given some time to adjust, but not 6 months or a year.
Okay. You have any?
Well, again, it's all about making sure that the child feels safe, making sure the child has an opportunity to say what they feel comfortable with. If you have the possibility, in a perfect world, both of y'all together need to sit down and make sure that the child or children know it's not your fault. This didn't have anything to do with you. What we want to do is parent you the best way that we possibly can, but we cannot live together right now. And this is just not how this is going to happen. And we're more than likely going to get a divorce. So we want to prepare you for that. And we're going to support you through this particular process. We're going to give you all the supports that we absolutely can. If we cannot, we'll bring in professionals. We'll bring in whoever we need to help you support going through this process. And that's in a perfect world. In a perfect world, that's what will happen. Unfortunately, the world is not perfect. So the mother may need to just have that particular conversation with them. And you could have that conversation with a counselor. You could have that conversation with your pastor so that, it won't be that one-on-one and you won't lose control. Because as we said before, a divorce or separation, and it was something you mentioned earlier, people can be couples forever and not ever be married. But that doesn't mean that children are not affected when you are no longer together as a couple.
Absolutely, right.
So, we got to make sure it stays child-focused, age-appropriate, boundaries are involved. Be mindful of what you're sharing. And if you're too emotional to have that conversation, step back for a minute. Write down your thoughts about what you want to say so you can kind of control that particular element, and then come back in. Tone, tempo, and timing. If your tone is not level, if your voice, the cadence rises up and down, if the timing is not right, think it through before you have that conversation. But the conversation needs to be had. Right. Nobody wants to be swiped and know right now my family's gone and you didn't tell me.
Right.
That's not fair.
And I like how you said that allow the children to say what they have to say. I think that would really make them feel like their opinion matters, even though, they may feel differently than the parents who want to get a divorce and they say, I don't want you to get a divorce. But allowing them that opportunity to say, how do you feel about it? Or are you okay? Or are you feeling sad? That allows them.
Or even if they're angry, allowing them to say that.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Instead of just talking at them and letting them know, this is what it is and you just gonna have to be all right, So getting over this emotionally, mentally, we got the logistics out the way, the attorneys are got, we hired Miss Vickie to be the mediator, everything is good to go, but the pain, the grief is still there. So tell me, what are some tips to promote healing during and then long after a long relationship split or a divorce? What are some tips towards, healing?
Well, one thing is to journal. Sometimes people can't sleep. And I tell them, just write it out. Dump it on a piece of paper. Over time, they can look back and see how far they've come, where they don't see it day to day. If their faith is important to them, getting into that, being with nature, allowing yourself to be alone and feel. Don't stuff it away. You have to go through it before you can go past it.
Yeah, get out.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Meditation, exercise, support groups, being with your friends or reconnecting with friends, because sometimes when people are married, they become so family focused that they they've lost touch with friends, and that they can feel very alone and isolated.
Yes.
Not isolating is so important.
And I think what the callers that have been calling in, you know, they've been saying that sometimes their family and friends aren't the best, only because when you're going to hang out with them, you're kind of telling them you're confiding in them like you would a counselor. And not to say that that's bad, but when you're telling them all the bad things about, you know, your ex-spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse, then they're going to be like, yeah, girl, I'm so glad. You know, I don't know, they just might repeating and being repetitive about things that you don't want to talk about or you don't want to think about at the moment. So I think it would be okay to tell your friend or your best friend, you know what, I don't want to talk about that right now. I'll tell you once it's over. I'll tell you once I'm in a better space. I just need your companionship right now.
Because sometimes their family or friends are going to try and talk them out of it. They don't want to feel judged, and so, or they're afraid that they're talking too much, that they're going to burden their friends. A lot of people come to counseling then because they want somebody that can listen, that's not biased.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's different options.
Yeah. That's really important. And sometimes you just want your friend to listen.
That's it.
I don't need your guidance. I don't need your advice. I'll make my own.
Just let me vent.
Just let me vent.
Yep.
And you know, pets are very important.
Oh, definitely.
If you have a pet, a dog, a cat, whatever you have, they are very important because they give you a certain level of unconditional love that at that particular moment, at that particular juncture, might help take you through that particular valley. And also to forgive yourself. If you, because people know what they've done. And I'm not saying you did anything wrong to cause a divorce, but I'm also not saying you did everything right. So you know what you did, and you might need to just forgive yourself for that.
Yep.
And that's really important because self-care is critical. And there's a lot of things you mentioned that are self-care. You're going to have to rebuild yourself, create this new normal. And that comes about with self-care. You go to counseling. Church may be what you need to do. You may need to read the Bible. That may work for you.
In your word.
Journaling may work for you. Volunteering. A lot of times when you engage in selfless actions,
Definitely.
that helps you to become stronger, and then you see the impact, the inspirational impact you have on others. You know, if you belong to, if you're a Mason or if you're Eastern Star, member of a sorority or fraternity, your sisters, your brothers are there to help you, to uplift you. If you're working, take advantage of the employee assistance programs that they have available. Sometimes it's just the opportunity to just talk over a period of time.
Or stay busy,
Stay busy.
And be patient with yourself.
Yes, I
Absolutely.
like that.
It takes as long as it takes. There's no amount of time that's too long or too short.
And don't give someone a stick to whip you with. So, a lot of times people may separate, but they may want to get back with that particular person. They may just need a break. And it could be a year, it could be whatever. So then all of a sudden, now you've told your girls all these bad things about this cat, right?
Exactly.
And family.
Yep.
And now y'all worked it out. I mean, whatever it was, y'all came together and y'all worked it out. So now you're going back and they're like, but you said he did this,
is he still cheating on you?
But that's what, and then they're looking at him crazy. So you've got to be mindful of what information you share.
Absolutely.
Because you'll give someone a stick to whoop you with. Yes. And that will be a hard reintegration for him and you back into the family union. Or because you've talked so badly about him, but y'all worked it out like the young lady said. She was like, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. I need to just be cordial. Well, you've talked about him so bad, and they're like, well, why are you cordial with him? Because he's not really, you said, but I want to do this for his children. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. The only person you have to explain yourself to is you. You are accountable for your actions. Just know that the choices that you make own the outcome.
Yes,
that's it.
They will have consequences. I love that. So if you are going through, then just know that help is out there. I like that. You said something else, Vickie, and the pet situation. Yes. Like, I just wanted to add very quickly that, a little puppy dog, if you don't have any children and, he just moved out or you just moved out and, loneliness can be that could be a heavy thing. You nobody to greet you at the door. You just by yourself. That little puppy can be your saving grace and can keep your sanity a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to add this if I could. Alcohol is not the answer. Drugs is not the answer.
Yes.
Excessive sex with anybody is not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Food is not the answer. If you have a hole and you're trying to fill it with something, it's not the answer. It's not going to fix it.
It's not.
You can't sleep it away either.
Right. Being self-destructive just
Absolutely.
makes things worse. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with being depressed. If you're depressed, you're depressed, seek help.
Yes.
That's what help is available for.
It's actually a healthy thing to ask for help when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So don't be afraid of asking for help. And I know as in the African American community, that is a struggle. It's a struggle for men. It's a struggle for women.
Yes.
It's taboo. We want to go to the church. We don't want to get a counselor. We don't want to talk to a doctor. We don't want to talk to a psychiatrist, whatever the case may be. It takes courage to ask for help, and I get it, but it is not a shame to get help.
Not at all.
And that's where we as a community have to understand that supports are out there, and it is absolutely okay. Your pastor is not the go-all and be-all.
Yes, he's not.
Sometimes you need a licensed professional counselor to help you.
And there's only one first time. Everyone's nervous the first time. And it's got to be a good fit. There's different personalities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people out there, but it's got to be a good fit. So if it doesn't work with the first therapist, try someone else.
Yes. And there is Christian counseling out there, okay? And that's a whole nother topic that we're going to be talking about in the month of February, just the taboo of mental health and mental illness in the Black community. Yes, Jesus is real and he is good and we are covered with his blood, but he blessed us with professionals.
Absolutely.
that can help us on our journey. So that, with your word, we can be in a whole nother better place. And I know you're going to be in a better place after you get through this divorce, okay? Do not feel bad about yourself. And I think you had some great advice on this show. Don't forget, it's going to be on YouTube this week. Hampton Roads Voices, that is our YouTube channel. And we're going to rebroadcast this show on Sunday at noon. This Sunday coming up at noon is going to be rebroadcasted, okay? There's going to be something else I was going to say. I forgot all about it. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for being on the show. Please share again. Say your name so they'll associate your name and your voice again, and then share your contact information.
Donna Grissett, Peninsula Counseling Center of Virginia in Williamsburg and Newport News, 757-358-8548. And I want to thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the show.
Vickie Williams of Open Door Communications. My website is www.opndoor.com. My phone number is 757-816-4478. Go to my website. If you're in the midst of a separation, I have co-parenting classes in Hampton and in Williamsburg. The addresses and all that information will be on my website. And again, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you for being here, ladies. You were absolutely wonderful. Again, this show is coming on at noon right here on this station. And please subscribe. We need subscribers. I know we have more listeners than we have subscribers on that YouTube page, Hampton Roads Voices. Okay. Follow me while you're at it on Instagram at Kilogram at KHILOGRAM. And thank you for listening. It's Hot 81.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM.